My name is Angel. I'm here to stand against all the hate crimes that have been going on against our community, the Asian community, especially against our most vulnerable, our elderly, our women. And it's also to take a stand against the root of all of this, which is white supremacy and the perpetuation and sexualization, specifically for the Atlanta women, the sexualization of Asian women.
I mean, do you think that this bashing of China has contributed to this, blaming China?
Absolutely. The hate rhetoric that Donald Trump perpetuated throughout his presidency and refusing to not call it the Chinese virus and not call it the Kung flu definitely put fire into his already racist, followers. So it kind of emboldened them to commit these crimes. Just because he's gone doesn't mean the hate is gone.
Vanessa, I'm here to stand in solidarity with the Asian community for the recent attacks that they've been experiencing. So I'm just here to show my support and stand in solidarity with them.
My name is Gracelyn, and I'm also here. I'm Black and Filipino, and just wanted to show up for my community and in solidarity with other API communities, and really showing support and hoping that attacks like this don't happen again and that we are able to dismantle white supremacy.
I'm Carissa. I'm Chinese American. I'm here to show support because we've been silent for very long. We want to speak up. We want people to know that this is not something that happened once or twice. It's been happening for weeks, for years, for months, since the beginning of time. Really, people should pay attention to our hurt. We have been suppressing our hurt and suffering for a long time. Doesn't mean that we doesn't care. And then the elders, the service workers, they don't deserve what they had experienced in the past couple of months. It's not King flu. It's not Chinese virus. It's something that it's just a pandemic. People get it together. I guess the pandemic had an origin in Wuhan, so people think that it's the Chinese people who brought the virus, but I don't know. I think it's the former president also reinforced that rhetoric many, many times, even after he already stepped down from the White House. He's still talking about Chinese virus, and I think that's unacceptable. And it's just I don't think Asian communities need to take the blame for such things, or even the violence.
It seems like it's the Muslims, it's immigrants, it's going from one community to another. It's like one after.
Yeah, it's the white supremacy that is trying to picking up on different communities of colors, trying to divide us, and I think we just can't keep silent anymore. We have to protect each other, not just our own communities, but just all communities of color.
How have you personally been affected? Your family?
My families are not currently in the States, so they're doing okay. But I've experienced a lot of microaggressions myself. Even on going on bike rides, I feel really scared. Going on runs, people would sometimes just come at me and then saying something really rude. Like I got called communist girl once on the street. Those are things that are okay. I'm not personally I'm not physically attacked, but those are also things that we shouldn't just ignore because we've been dealing with that sort of trauma for so long.
And in California, San Francisco, long history of racism against Asians, the Asian workers, the Asian right to live here and that kind of thing. It seems it should have ended a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole model minority myth. They think that Asians are the one who's making the money, who's getting the education, who's doing all right. But the truth is, the most the poverty groups are also the Asian American communities in Chinatowns, and a lot of people live in SRO. A lot of people are not having access to proper medical care. So I think it's important to correct the narrative that we're all just trying to live. There's no one superior group. We're not trying to be closer to the white group or something. It's just we're all just trying to make it here.
My name is Candy Hu. I'm a local 2 member, so I'm here to support the Chinese community because we don't want the Chinese community get hurt again. So we want everybody to respect each other so we can live peaceful.
Local 2 represents thousands of hotel workers, service workers.
Yes.
They're the people that make San Francisco.
Those people make San Francisco better and better. And those people, like I think it's 30% of the population of the hotel worker are Asian. So yeah.
What do you think about like China, blaming China for this and blaming China for that? I mean, it seems like it's ongoing every day.
Yeah, I think this is not a good idea. It just try to divide the different group. And we should look at how we solve the problem. It's not blame on who make that mistake or we cannot accuse who triggered that. But for my opinion, we should think about how we can come together to solve all the problems we're facing right now.
Are you a hotel worker?
Yes, previously I'm a hotel worker, but right now I work with local too.
I'm her daughter, and I'm here with my mom today, and I've just kind of been sad and disheartened by the response over anti-Asian violence, and just like being here makes me feel a lot more supported, and like there's a community of people who actually truly are willing to fight for Asians, and that makes me feel really good. I've definitely seen a lot of hate, and personally I have not personally had any effect, and I think it's because of the community that I've been surrounded by. But I've had friends who are really close to like the Atlanta shooting, for example, and people who have been really affected, and I'm here because I want to support them as well.
I'll say because with the society so much going on, the pandemic, some people just blame it to Asian folks or Chinese people. So, but as a society, we should be united. We shouldn't be blaming something to a certain group of people. So that's why, we should just speak up.
My dad was born 100 years ago right outside the Stockton Tunnel. He lived in 97, and there's and my grandparents came from China. So there's and I still get asked, where am I from? What country am I from? My dad would have been 100 years old this past year. We're Americans. We're Chinese Americans.
But immigrants, all except for Native Americans, most people are immigrants in this country. Yet it seems Asian, Chinese are blamed.
But they never think you're American unless you're Caucasian. I still get asked, where are you from? What country are you from? I was born in Chico, California. My dad was born in San Francisco.
My name's Henry. For the safety and protection of Chinatown and its community, well, it's not more than me. It's just the vulnerable elders that we have to deal with. And it tears me apart knowing that they're left on the streets alone and hurt.
I'm Jeffrey Shirtleff. I live in San Bruno. I'm here to say that the violence against Asians is a horrible problem, but it's nothing new. It is nothing new. California was built on the backs of Asians, and we're still threatening China. I don't know why. It's never stopped. In other words, there's always been violence against Asians in the United States. And so Trump's calling it, of course, a Chinese virus. Not only is that stupid, but it's also very hostile. And it's directed both at China and at the rest of the world, saying we are democracy, which is, of course, not true either. We're not a democracy. We've wanted to be a democracy. But the issue is not a virus. It's not communism. It's not the violence. It's bigger than all of that, and that's the threat of war.
Lori Shulak. I'm here to support our community members that are under attack.
Are you a member of IFT 21?
I am. So we are very much in support of the safety of everyone in our community and raising people up, providing a higher minimum wage and better working conditions for all. And our membership is definitely all about the social justice movements that are the Black Lives Matter, the anti-hate campaigns.
Thank you all so much. Today we wanted to create a space to call on each other, to remind each other that first and foremost, we are not grieving alone. There have been a lot a lot of agitation, so much violence, so much anger and tiredness from our community. And we are here today to say that we are not going to be doing it alone. We see each other, and we will be here together.
With all this violence that's going around against our Asian American community, here I am, my parents came here. They came here to give us a good life. And look at what's happening here. They wanted to educate their children to have an American life, and this is all happening again. I mean, it's just so unfair. And there's so much racism now. And if it wasn't for that prior administration that could say that and call it a China virus, how you put a label on that? It's terrible.
How has it affected you personally and your family?
My daughter lived in New York, and she just moved back here. Then ended up moving back to Washington. I told her she had to get out of New York. My dad's 92. He's at home. He can't come out. He used to take a muni to come to the association to play cards every day, Monday through Friday. He can't even do that now. I fear for him to even go out and take a walk.
People are being terrorized.
Yes. You just can't take chances. Always got to look behind your back. A virus is a virus. It's not called the Chinese virus, the Kung Fu virus. Come on, wake up.
My name is Ling. I'm here because I'm frustrated, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm angry. Many of us saw this coming. The words that our leaders use to fan the flames of hatred that has already been there have culminated in this. We saw this coming, and it's sad that it takes this for us to get attention. Prior to the events that happened this week, you did not regularly have Asian voices in mainstream media, and it is about time that our voices are heard, and I think in particular that we're centering the voices of Asian American women in this because we know what we've been feeling. I think this particular incident generates a lot of emotion for the Asian American community, for our allies who've all kind of suffered under the similar effects of white supremacy culture. But I think this moment for Asian American women brings up a lot of emotions and a lot of history, because this brought up xenophobia, racism, misogyny, the violence against women, all in one moment, and it is a lot. We're, I think, especially appreciative for the allies who have taken the time to reach out to us this week, simply to ask if we're okay.
This China bashing, blaming China for the virus, saying that it should be encircled, where is this leading? It seems like it's a bipartisan policy to attack China.
I mean, this is not, I think associating ethnicities with sicknesses and epidemics is nothing new either. Many in the Asian American community have been scapegoated in the past for other sicknesses, SARS in more recent memory. But prior to that, I mean, even in this city of San Francisco, the early outbreaks of bubonic plague were also blamed on Chinese people who were thought to inherently be dirty. So this is nothing new. It is only new for the people just waking up right now. And again, it is very upsetting that it took this mass murder for many people to wake up.
What can people do to stop it?
I think part of it is showing up today, showing up, being an ally, taking the time to read and learn about the long history of hate against Asian Americans. I think it's about funding and donating, contributing to groups, community-led groups on the ground that have been doing this work for a very long time so that we have community-led solutions. I think, unfortunately, it seems that children can understand the messages that we all are lifting up today. It's very easy for a child to understand that someone with an illness, someone with a hatred for women or Asian people should not have been able to purchase a gun and pull this off so quickly. My son's sign says no more guns. That is one message. It is as simple as that. And my other son, his sign says I belong here. And It's painful to talk about. We have been part of this country for a very long time, and for us to still be questioned for whether or not we belong here is deeply painful.
I'm Jeffrey Shirtleff. I live in San Bruno, not in San Francisco.
What is your voice here today? Excuse me, why are you here today? What's your
I'm here to say that the violence against Asians is a horrible problem, but it's nothing new. It is nothing new. California was built on the backs of Asians, and we're still threatening China. I don't know why.
So this attack on China, do you think it's led to this increase on attacks on Chinese and Asian people?
Well, as I said earlier, it's never stopped. In other words, there's always been violence against Asians in the United States. And so Trump's calling it, of course, a Chinese virus. Not only is that stupid, but it's also very hostile. And it's directed at both at China and at the rest of the world, saying we are democracy, which is, of course, not true either. We're not a democracy. We've wanted to be a democracy. But the issue is not a virus. It's not communism. It's not the violence. It's bigger than all of that, and that's the threat of war.
It seems like the Democrats are joining the Republicans and saying China should be a
partisan issue. It's never been a partisan issue. It's unanimous. Matter of fact, probably right here in the square, there are people that think China is our enemy. China is not our enemy.
Why do you think the Democrats have the same position? Nancy Pelosi represents Democrats here in San Francisco. I mean, why is she propagating this attack on China?
Well,
supporting military circle.
People believe that we only have one party. It has two heads, and their policies of Democrats and Republicans overlap so thoroughly, that it's hard to say that Biden is a new president. He certainly is not Trump, and that's a very good idea. That's a very good thing for America, mainly because of the shame that Trump has brought around the world. But to think that we have two parties that are really different, I think that's a stretch.
My name is Esther Leong, and I put this because 3 years ago, when we celebrate the 150 years of Chinese Exclusion Act, I put this together because I wanted to write it in Chinese, because our Chinese immigrants people don't understand what the history is. So we read the books, but they don't know it. So I wanted them to be in the center to see the words that mean something to them. And I think it's relevant because right now, the Chinese Exclusion Act was 1882, still alive and well today. So we don't need to know why things are happening the way. It's always been like that. And it's important to speak up. It's important to be recognized. It's important to be a face. It's important to exercise our right. And culturally, we're always told to be quiet, endure it. No more. No more. Not for us or for anyone else. All the folks who we're talking about humanity. So, if it's not one group, it's going to be another group. So for my Chinese people who I live in Chinatown, these are my people, and this is my message that I embrace with them.
You said this is a long history, blaming Asians, blaming Chinese.
Yes.
Why is it again rising? I mean, Trump, but also blaming China, this attack on China.
Because of the international relationship, the threat. And so, but they're going back to the same thing that happened in 1882. The Chinese were attacked only because they are an economic threat. So again, this is surfacing again in a very subtle way, and it's not always in your history book. We're told we have to take special education to find our history. Why is that? Isn't our history and the Chinese history, Black history, other history part of the American history? So it should be integrated. And because the lack of it, then people believe the sort of the myth. So that's why it's important to unlearn that, and it takes years. It's not an easy task, but I think we can do it if we have the right perspective and love and care and put the money involved to make the changes.
and support the elders who've been abused and the other Asians that have been betrayed. We have to have accountability. So all of that all matters, and our ability to work with everyone else is just as important, because this is not just an Asian issue, it's all our issue. You know, whether it's hate, crime, violence, abuse, it's our issue. We are accountable, you and I, to each other. So that's why I have put this together.
And what's the response been?
I always get great response. People always love this. The Chinese people look and they read the word and they go, oh, it speaks to them. So important to be culturally competent. That's why there's a disconnection, because they don't know what do you mean? Why is that the case? So there are these, and today, you know, I think not only if we don't stop this, it's going to snowball to other areas as well, because economically we're in such a bad place. So when people are desperate, they do desperate things.
They blame each other. I mean, they blame each other, pit people, the Muslims, the immigrants.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, that's why I have Muslim ban, you know. All these are all a ripple effect. So nothing new, and something we have just pushed under the rug sometime. But the pandemic had made everyone face the reality, because we're all at home looking at the TV. Nothing else, we can't go out, so we're seeing all these things. So there's one positive aspect, we got more educated.